that down, guys, let's move on to this. The Last of Us, in its second season, had its 6th episode last night. Now, going to let you guys know, we might go into some spoiler territory here for last night's episode. I mean, they did the preview for last night's episode last week, so you know what this week was about. But still, we're going to pop up a little spoiler warning. So as long as this spoiler warning is here, we may talk about some details about the show. You've been warned. For now, if you don't want to hear anything or know anything about the episode, make sure you click mute and then unmute it once that little notification disappears. So with that down, let's talk about this. Last week's episode ended with the preview of this week's, where we knew we were going to get the flashbacks. Those infamous and famous scenes from the Last of Us 2 game when he takes her into the space park and all that kind of stuff. And I will say this. While definitely no action in this episode, I think this may now be my favorite episode of the season. I think it might be my favorite. I mean, obviously the episode with the infected invasion of Jackson, that was amazing and all that kind of stuff. But I'll tell you what, man, I was gripped to my TV every second of last night's episode. From the moment they showed in the preview of Ellie sitting in the space capsule, Joel playing the guitar and singing for her, and you can see how much she loves him. Like, the performances in this show have always been top notch. I don't think it's ever been better than last night's episode. The pure performances of the characters and everything, I don't think it's been better than last night. I bought into everything as they go through slowly the stages of Ellie becoming more and more angry with Joel. And why? And then this revelation of, after the dance, she came back out to the porch to talk. A part that's not in the game, by the way. And she came back out to the porch and like saying, this is your last chance. If you lie to me again, we're done. And if you have any doubts about Pedro Pascal's, which you shouldn't at this point, but if you have any doubts about Pedro Pascal's acting prowess, last night's episode kills them. Because the way he's sitting there with his internal conflict and all this kind of stuff and feeling so emotional as she's asking him question after question and barely even being able to get the words out of his mouth. And by the way, something else they added to the show that's not in the game, flashback to Joel as a child with his own dad, which was brilliant when you fast forward to the end of this episode and he's talking to Ellie and he says, you know, someday, hopefully you'll do a little bit better than me, which is the same thing his dad told him. And it's like, I'm watching this episode and there's no fisticuffs. There's no big infected invasion. And I was absolutely glued. And by the time the episode ended, I was shocked because it felt like it had been 20 minutes. And it was like an hour and 10. And, you know, I actually texted Rob last night as I'm watching it. I'm like, for an episode with no action, I was like, the cinematography in this episode is next level. Like the choice of when tight shots and the way they use the camera and the visuals of Ellie in the space capsule, imagining it going into space. I was like, the level of pure filmmaking skill in this show blows my mind. I absolutely adored the episode. And having, what was his character's name in Matrix? Cypher. Joey
Pants.
That's right.
Joe Pantoliano.
There it is. Joe Pantoliano. Having him in there as Gail's husband.
Oh, that was great.
Oh my God. And it was just, this is why HBO Max is the gold standard when it comes to TV. It just, I loved the episode so much. And I was shocked to realize that next week is the finale, which totally bums me out. Because, I mean, we're going to have to wait at least a couple of years for the next episode. And next season, I mean, at any rate. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Stitch Fix. Guys, you know I love movies, but you also know I have absolutely no fashion sense, and I absolutely hate shopping for my clothes. But thankfully, I have found a better way. Stitch Fix online personal styling makes it easy. With Stitch Fix, I get a stylist who understands my style, size, and budget, and they do all the shopping for me. Because look, shopping and figuring out style can be overwhelming, especially for somebody like me. When it comes to getting dressed, I don't even know where to start, to be honest. That's why I love having a Stitch Fix stylist. They really know what works for me. I get pieces that make me look great, and it's a real confidence boost. You just give your stylist your size, style, and budget preferences. You get to order boxes when you want and how you want, no subscription required. They send you personalized pieces, and the fit is always on point. No stores, no crowds, no stress. Just personalized looks that you will love. So guys, make style easy. Get started today at stitchfix.com/Campea. That's stitchfix.com/Campea. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance to watch last night's episode of Last of Us. What were your takeaways from it?
First of all, I love this episode. You know, it reminded me of episode 3 of the first season with the two guys, where as you know, one of the great things about what The Last of Us can do as opposed to what, say, The Walking Dead does is it stops everything and it reminds you that this show is about human beings. And that's about human beings that are essentially, it's about the good in human beings. And so often, like, the Walking Dead, just how much more degradation and horribleness do human beings are they going to show us, you know, on display in this situation where the world is coming to an end? Whereas this showed, even after the cordyceps, the infestation of the world, these are two human beings that were trying to hang on to their humanity. I love the scene when he walks in and the tattoo artist is doing
so good.
You know, and he goes, "Great! You're going to be all the teenage stuff is going to happen.
All the
now.
teenage issues happening all at once.
Sex, drugs, whatever.
Tattoos."
And I love the performance. Whoever that girl that played the tattoo artist, she's like, "I'm going to go now." Like the awkwardness of that whole thing. I'm just getting a tattoo, Dad. She's putting on her shirt. Sure, you are. I mean, I thought this was beautifully directed. It was beautifully shot, and I got to tell you, I mean, then it hit home hard because when they brought it around to Catherine O'Hara's husband again, which I wasn't expecting them to do. I mean, I knew that was kind of a lingering plot thread, but I'm like, how are they going to deal with that? It was that scene when he's standing up and he realizes what's happening as he's walking to the lake's edge.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole episode was incredible. I mean, it was, and like you said, I love them going to the museum. It was a really, really, really great episode. And it gave people that haven't played the game, I think, much needed insight into Ellie's character. And it made the whole thing that much more heartbreaking. It humanized it. It's so the second game, from what I understand, because I haven't played the second game, but the humanization of all of this anger and hate. If the first game was about love, the second game is truly about hate. We needed some love to make the hate work. Yeah. And this gave us that emotional underpinning that will fuel the rest of this, well, not the one episode and then into the next season.
You know, that scene, by the way, I said the when she came back out that wasn't in the game. I don't remember from the game, but I got a number of people in the live chat telling me that was in the game. And it's been years, so you have to forgive me that I missed that. But like, Chris, that moment that when she turns to him and says, "I don't know that I can forgive you for this, but I'd like to try." In that moment, my mind flashed back to last week with the pure monster Ellie taking a pipe and beating the body of that girl. And you're like, oh, I get it now. I get it. I get the rage. Like I knew. I was comparing the other day to when Ellie was watching Joel die to Bruce Wayne in the alley. I've always said, in the alley with his parents, Bruce Wayne died and the Batman was born. And I felt like in this thing, in that chateau, Ellie kind of died and like the monster Ellie was born, who still has the facade of regular Ellie, but you saw the real Ellie come out in that scene.
I love that comparison. Yeah.
And then seeing that scene on the porch just made it all the more real, and you understand this visceral hate as Rob's talking about. Anyway, what did you think about the episode overall, and how do you see it fitting into the overall series?
It's fabulous. I'm really sick of sobbing on Sundays. I really need to find something light to watch, you guys. This was so great. And Tony Dalton's performance in this in particular, I think, should be highlighted because he does such a wonderful job of playing Joel's father. I did not know this was a show that was going to also explore generational trauma, and here we are. And I just love that through line constantly of, I can be a little bit better than you. and hopefully you're going to be a little bit better than me. Just passing that on. Better than your parent, hope your kid is better than you. And that being this kind of thread of how Joel had to survive and hopes Ellie will survive just a little bit better than him. And also having this kind of mulligan in a way almost of, I already know the mistakes I made with my daughter. I've got to be a great dad for this daughter. I have to protect her at all costs. And no matter what, I'm going to do whatever it takes to protect her. And seeing everything he's done is justified, but also knowing that he still deserves to pay for it has been such a great thing to explore with Joel. And this really just helped explain more of that. I never thought I would need more backstory on Joel. And I feel like this was such a great way to enrich that character, to just give me a little bit more insight into how he feels and his motives and everything too.
I totally agree with you. And I have to say that I think it's essential to watch the after shows
Yeah.
in terms of your enjoyment,
Yeah.
because Neil Druckmann explains that Craig Mazin said, let's do a flashback to Joel's father. And Neil Druckmann says,
Who's the swordsman, by the way?
Yeah.
who says, Neil Druckmann said, I never thought of that. Like, and that was a Craig Mazin idea. And it shows, I mean, I thought it spoke to how great adaptation works, where you've got one of the creators of this game and you can have another very, very talented, very smart writer come in and go, what about we do this? And when you have the creator of the game go, that's a great idea, and they give you that scene, and it shows how real adaptation, especially when you're dealing with really great writers who really understand the IP, how they can do something new that fits beautifully in and add something that we never got before from the original. And that process and seeing how they think about all this has been really gratifying, because you're listening to the showrunners. And I like the same thing with House of the Dragon. I really think that these after shows are integral.
Oh, they absolutely are. It's great to see a writer's room that's void, at least to our extent of what we're saying, void of ego, of just, we're not being so precious with the original thing that we can expand or we can change things up. And Druckmann talked about too how he took from his own personal life of this fear when he was becoming a father of, I gotta not make the mistakes my parents made, but also like, I'm going to make mistakes. So how do I parent? How do I do anything?
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, question is for you. What did you think of last night's episode of The Last of Us? It's just top tier television. Anyway, whatever you guys thought about it, jump down into the conversation below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.